Hey, what's up, everybody? Wanted to cover the Houston at East Carolina game from yesterday. We picked Houston because Houston is amazing and East Carolina had a bunch of COVID issues. And as you see here in this recap, they snapped a 5-game skid and were shooting 47%. Meanwhile, before that, they were shooting 32% from the three-pointer. Yeah, I mean, and this game really fell apart for Houston in the second half because they were leading in the first half. And they overcame a drought. So it was really like a bunch of threes against Houston that bailed East Carolina out. But there's a lot of things that we can learn from this game from a betting standpoint, other than we lost and then we go home and, just cry. But you do that anytime you lose, right? So maybe not. So first off, Houston was leading and they just had a terrible second half. But I think another thing too is we need to see how many players. So East Carolina wasn't fielding like a full team there for a little bit due to COVID stuff, but that seems to have gone away. And the other thing, so we need to keep an eye on East Carolina now because they're for real. See, and they had some big losses here, but I remember this game, this UCF game. So the UCF game, they were getting blown out in the first half, and the second half they really came back. I think I might have bet against them in that game. So I think East Carolina, from a betting standpoint, maybe even a tournament standpoint, is somebody to keep an eye on. But also, another thing we need to watch is, another thing we need to just keep an eye on is the money line, because the money line for this game, see, FanDuel, as I speak about that here, is offering the best money lines. And if you bet on these teams, especially with not that many games left, to win the money line against huge favorites, you can make a lot of money. And obviously you can lose every dollar you bet as well. But sometimes things line up and you just have to pay attention to it. But FanDuel offers the best. I'm going to try and do like an affiliate thing and link that up so that you guys can, so you can help me out and I can keep doing this stuff. So I'm promoting them and I'm not even affiliated with them yet. But sometimes this stuff is worth it. And I mean, DraftKings is all right and then there, but like East Carolina really came out of nowhere. And that game would have been hard to tell because Houston is so good. But like the day before, we had that South Carolina State game that had a team that had never won a game before and just barely lost. Similar money line there. And you just have to keep your eyes open for these. I mean, there's upsets every day. There's plenty of upsets yesterday, like Georgetown. But Georgetown, if you remember, I called that game saying I liked Georgetown because Creighton wasn't covering. So you could have even jumped on that money line and you would have gotten almost 10-1 at FanDuel. I mean, that one was a little bit more obvious because Creighton was not covering. Same thing with Incarnate Word. I liked Incarnate Word over Lamar, and Incarnate Word was getting points, which made no sense. That's more like 2-1 money line. But going forward, how I wanted to keep track of this, or a fun way, because we're already tracking the 0-win teams and seeing if they'll get a win. I don't think we have any today, February 4th. But I probably just need to do a money line of the day. Oh no, we do have Idaho. Need to do a video about that. But another way that we could track this is, or another idea that I had was like a team like Gonzaga. It's like, will they lose? Because Gonzaga, you're gonna get insane odds for the money line. But FanDuel is the only one willing to really go above. I mean, Caesars too, really going above 1,500. But Gonzaga might give. I don't think Gonzaga is necessarily going to lose, just because they're insanely dominant, and the teams they have left aren't that good. They face Pacific twice. I think the only team they might drop to is St. Mary's. But that's a game to keep an eye on because, as you see before, the spread is going to be like 16, 17. So that's just something to keep an eye out for. Those money lines, those underdog money lines, huge underdog money lines. In Houston, like, I would have never thought they would have lost to East Carolina. But sometimes you just have to look at these teams that are huge favorites. Same thing here. Washington State, Oregon today, February 4th, is just, I don't know, man. I really like Washington State here, but it's just keep an eye on these money line underdogs. And I know I've talked about them in the past about related to back-to-backs, but just in college basketball in general, these huge money line underdogs have a chance to win. And if you're real desperate for money and you want to come up, I mean, you're going to have to be really diligent about it, but the money line underdogs are the way to do it, as opposed to like a 5-team parlay, a 6-team, 7-team parlay. As I said before, you got to hit 7 things in a row or 5 things. These, you only have to hit them once. And so if you put it across 5 games and 2 or 3 of them hit, then I mean, you're doing pretty good. Versus a money line parlay, everything's going all at once. And also, even if you do 5-team parlay 5 times, that's 25 things that have to go right. Or if you do a money line underdog 5 times, it's only 5 things that have to go right. So that's just something I wanted to talk about today. And just keep an eye out for these, and we'll try and track them as well.